今回は good の意外な使い方について話しますね。結論から言いますと、少なくとも、最低でも、結構なという意味になります。最後の結構な、入れるかどうかその3つの中でちょっと迷ってたんですが、やっぱり最終的には入れた方がいいかなと思いまして、そういうケースもありますので、雰囲気的には多分皆さんの辞書には載ってないと思いますので、これはあくまで自分の個人的な判断といいますか。例えばね、昨日結構な量飲みましたね。We had a good few beers yesterday. そういう使い方もあります。じゃあ文章どうやって作るの？ Good をどこに入れればいいの？大丈夫です。今から簡単な英語でわかりやすく解説していきますね。とにかく時間とか距離とか、あとは量とか、そういう話をしているときに good をよく使います。これはですね、使いこなせるようになるとすっごく便利。good をプラスするだけで自然な英語に聞こえますよ。You ready to improve your English? Let's learn a very simple but incredibly natural way to use a word that you already know. Good. How do we make sentences? It's actually really simple. We just put good before the amount. But there is one very important thing that you have got to remember. You must use a good, not just good. Let me repeat that for the folks in the back. You must use a good, not just good. For instance, how far is it from the station? It's a good 10 minutes. So you're basically talking about the minimum amount required to do something. But another slightly different way of looking at it is like this. Take this glass of Coke. This one has 350 milliliters. This one has a good 350 milliliters. There's probably a little bit more than 350 milliliters. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let's look at 3 different ways of using it with time, distance, and amount. Using a good for talking about the minimum amount of time required is really common. It takes my daughter a good hour to finish her dinner. She's such a slow eater. So it doesn't take any less than an hour. It probably takes a little more than an hour. I've been waiting here for a good 10 minutes. What kept you? A good 10 minutes means probably a little more than 10 minutes. I've had this phone for a good 3 or 4 years. It's about time for an upgrade. So a good 3 or 4 years. It's no less than 3 or 4 years. He was in the hospital for a good couple of weeks after his bypass surgery. So bypass surgery is a very big operation. So he was probably in the hospital for a pretty long time. So a good couple of weeks, maybe 3. It takes me a good 15 to 20 hours to make a YouTube video from start to finish. Yeah, so sometimes it takes even longer, but it's a good 15 to 20 hours. A good hour, a good 10 minutes, a good 2 or 3 years, a good couple of weeks, a good 15 to 20 hours. いらっしゃいませ。
いらっしゃいませ。
Yes, little person. How can I help you?
Do you work here?
Can't you tell? The hat, the uniform, the handling of the produce.
How long have you worked here?
I've been working here for a good 20 years.
A good 20 years? Do you like it?
Oh, yes. It's my dream job.
Your dream job? But when are you going to get a real job?
This is a real job.
My daddy works in a bank. That's a real job.
Oh, well, I must get on. I've got a good 10 more boxes of oranges to unpack and display.
Ooh, you make it sound really important. See ya.
Yes, hurry back now. What a lovely child. Not condescending at all. In daily conversations, we find ourselves talking about distances more often than you probably think. Sometimes we don't know the exact distance, but we can give a ballpark number like a minimum amount. We must have walked a good 10 miles today. We deserve a beer. So if you're talking about distance, a good 10 miles, it was probably a little bit more than 10 miles. The police officers chased the thief for a good 5 blocks before he escaped. So a good 5 blocks, maybe it was 5, maybe it was 6, or maybe a little bit more. A good 5 blocks. I've driven my car a good 100,000 kilometers since I got it last year. That's a lot. So of course, you don't know the exact distance, so you can say a good 100,000 kilometers. Probably 105,000, 107,000, a good 100,000 kilometers. He was thrown a good 5 meters when he was hit by a car, but he was unscathed. So a good 5 meters, of course, you don't know the exact amount, so you can say a good 5 meters, a good 6 meters, at least 5 meters. You must have grown a good 10 centimeters since the last time I saw you. So maybe grandparents or relatives say this to kids when they see them like during the summer holidays or something. Wow, you must have grown a good 10 centimeters. They feel it's much more than 10, but they're saying at least 10. A good 10 centimeters. So this is a good one if you're giving directions to tourists, if the place is kind of far away. How far is it to the museum? It's a good 2 kilometers from here. A good 10 miles, a good 5 blocks, a good 100,000 kilometers, a good 5 meters, a good 10 centimeters. Hey there, my name's Bob, and that's my wife, Barbara Jane.
Hi. Are you American?
Well, I sure am. I'm from Texas.
I heard in school that everyone has a gun in the USA.
Well, a lot of people do. Listen, how far is it from here to the Tokyo Skytree?
Are you walking?
Yes, we are.
Are you sure? You don't look like you could walk very far.
We can walk.
It's a good 25 to 30 minute walk for me, but for you and Barbara Jane, it'll probably take a good hour.
I don't like your attitude, young man.
Well, I don't like your t-shirt. It looks silly.
This cost me a good $25 in Akihabara.
Well, it makes you look like a big fat weirdo.
You come back here and apologize, young man. When we talk about things, people, food, and money, this is going to make you sound nice and natural, and perchance, kind of cool. There were a good 25 people waiting in front of the restaurant, so we just went home. So of course you don't count how many people, but you can imagine about 25, maybe more, a good 25 people. A Rolex watch will cost you a good few $1,000s, even if you get the older model. So you don't know the exact price, but at least a few thousand, a good few $1,000s. He must have drunk a good 10 beers last night, and he was still the first one in the office today. So nobody was counting how many beers he had, but a good 10 beers, maybe 11, maybe 12. I asked my neighbor a good few times to stop parking in my space, but he still keeps doing it. So a good few times. Here, we're not using a specific number, a good few times. Not just a few, a good few times. He went on a good 3 or 4 dates with her before deciding she was not his type. So we're talking a good 3 or 4, maybe 5, maybe 4, but a good 3 or 4. I wonder what the problem was. This is probably the most versatile way of using it, but it's super useful. Don't you think? A good 25 people, a good few $1,000, a good 10 beers, a good few times, a good 3 or 4 dates. It's homework time. Okay, I'm going to give you a Japanese sentence and I want you to make it into a beautiful English sentence using a good something. Okay, here goes. 急がなくていいよ。電車が出発するまで最低でも30分はあるから。Okay, so put your answers down in the comments below and I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, good luck! 今回は good の意外な使い方。今回は good の意外な使い方について話しますね。結論から言いますと、少なくとも今回は good の使い